What's up, booktube? Welcome back. My name is Laura if you're new here, and today I'm wrapping up my April reading month. Not gonna lie, I really thought that I did more reading than I actually did in April, but I'm looking at my Goodreads and apparently I only read 4 books. Well, 3 books and 1 comic, which brought me up to 1,025 pages. Not that much, but when you consider the DNFs, for some reason I don't count the books that I DNF towards my page count. I don't know why I do that, but I do. So I read more pages than that. The 2 books that I DNF'd, I read like 150 pages each or so. So I read more. I just, for whatever reason, I don't count that towards my page count. I should start doing that. So I guess a more accurate is like 1,300 or so. But anyways, I DNF'd 2 books this month. One of them was Beast Made of Night by Tochi Onyebuchi. That one I got, I think, 45 pages into, so I'm not sure how many pages that is, but I was probably like 100 and something pages into it. I just wasn't feeling it at all. The writing was fine, but like I didn't like the characters. I really didn't like the main character. He was kind of a dick for like literally no reason. Like he was just very unlikable, and I was also almost halfway through the book and really nothing had happened yet. Like nothing important had happened for the plot, so I was bored with the plot. I could kind of see where it was going, but like it didn't make up for the 45% where nothing happened. So I DNF'd right when things were starting to happen, but the action still hadn't really started, so I just didn't care. I did not want to keep going at all. I had like no motivation to read it. I do like the writing style, and the world building and magic was really cool, but like overall I was just really not having a good time with it, so I DNF'd. And I also decided this morning that I'm going to be DNFing City of Brass by Chakraborty. At least for now. I might try and pick it up again later, but I am 168 pages in. I really like the characters, the writing, the world, the magic. I like most of it. It's really, really good, but I struggle with adult fantasy. I read mostly YA, and I like YA because it's just simpler to grasp. And I'm not hating on YA by saying that. It's just, for me, like that's why I read YA. I read because it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's a way to it's a way to just like relax. I find when I'm reading books that have like heavy politics, like this one is, and like things where you have to pay attention, I'm not really enjoying it. It's not relaxing to me. I can't just like sit back and relax and enjoy the ride of the plot because I have to be paying so close attention to what's going on. And especially lately I've been having like really high anxiety, just not having a good time with my mental health, which makes concentrating even more difficult. So I'm just not having a good time with this one, even though like I want to. I like everything else about it. I just don't currently have the mental capacity to give it the attention that it needs to be able to like thoroughly enjoy this one. So sadly a DNF for right now, but I'm hoping I will eventually pick it back up again. But just adult fantasy is really hard for me. So moving on to the books that I did finish this month. The first one that I read was Bridge of Souls by Schwab. This is book 3 in the Cassidy Blake series, and I think this one was my favorite so far. This is a middle grade series about a girl who had a near-death experience about a year ago, and she was saved by a ghost, and that ghost like tethered himself to her and other best friends, and now she can also see other ghosts as well as cross into the ghost realm type of thing. So it's a really interesting one, but the fun part is that her parents actually have a TV show where they go around the world to the world's most haunted cities. We talk about the history there and ghost sightings and all that fun stuff, and she comes along with them. So each book in this series so far has been a different episode of the show while they're filming it, because Cassidy goes along with her parents to all these places and they have no idea that she can actually see ghosts. So it's really fun, and they just get up to like shenanigans all the time and have saved several cities by now, even though she's a very young child. So it's a very charming, like low stakes as well, which is what I really need right now. Nothing is like overly angsty. It's just a really fun read, but they're actually like kind of scary sometimes, but it's the kind of scary where like it's eerie but fun at the same time. So I've been really enjoying this series, but book 3 has definitely been my favorite. This one takes us to New Orleans, which is a city that I've always wanted to go to, and we get to meet a secret society and have all these different things happening with a brand new cast of side characters who were all lovely, and I really enjoyed all of them. But this one I liked more than the other 2 because I found in the first 2 books, I get that it's middle grade, so like I understand why it's there, but I found in the first 2 that Schwab would be like over explaining things that were like pretty obvious, just like common sense, common knowledge things that like really didn't need explanation for an adult reader. At least I get, again, it's made for kids, so like kids might not have all this like world knowledge, so it makes sense why it's there, but just as an adult reader it was just kind of annoying to read sometimes. But there is much less of that in the 3rd book, so that was great. But it still has all the like kind of childlike whimsy to it that I really enjoy from the first 2 books. So overall, a fantastic read. I give this one 4 stars, and I'm really hoping that there'll be more books in this series to come. Next up, I read Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. This one I read with Roxanne Can Read. We're doing a challenge together. I will leave her channel link down below for you guys. Definitely go check her out. She is wonderful. But for Honey Girl, I did really like it. I did have some issues with it though. I've been chatting with Roxanne and like we've been like talking about things that we have like noticed. I had originally given it a 4 stars. I might lower that down to like a 3.5, maybe a 3 stars upon like reflection and like conversation with Roxanne. But this one is about a woman who has just gotten her PhD in astronomy. She came from a very, very strict household where her only option was perfection. She was never given room to make mistakes. So she spent the last 11 years going through school and like just working her ass off, putting no time for herself, no time for her friends, her family, nothing. It was just work, just school for 11 years. And now she's done school and she has no idea where to go from here. So as a graduation celebration, she and her best friends go to Vegas for a weekend, and the main character Grace ends up waking up the next day to find a Polaroid of her and a strange woman standing outside of a chapel and a wedding ring on her finger. So she ends up getting married to a complete stranger in Vegas, no idea who she is. Her name is Yuki and she lives on the other side of the country, and Grace ends up going to live with Yuki for the summer after having a like complete mental breakdown, and she just needs to run away, have a break from life, and hopefully figure out what to do with her life, while at the same time getting to know her new wife and falling in love with her. The romance was so cute. I absolutely loved it. The writing, like, oh my god. Like their writing in this was swoon worthy. Oh my god, like the whole time I was reading it I just had this big grin, especially when Yuki was talking about Grace was just so beautiful. And I was saying to my friends that if I don't one day have somebody talk about me the way that Yuki talks about Grace, I don't want it. Like that, I want that kind of love or nothing. Like it was beautiful. The writing was incredible. The author had the character of Yuki be a storyteller, and that really came through in the way that she would talk about Grace. She had this really beautiful way with words, and it was just so nice to read, especially being a sapphic romance. I love seeing relationships like that where like they're just so in love and it's beautiful and wonderful and just everything that I want in this world. So I really liked that. I also really liked the mental health representation in here. Grace has a mental breakdown. She deals with some really severe undiagnosed mental health issues, and it is a very, very raw look at what those mental health issues look like and how it affects every single aspect of her life, from her work to her self-image to her relationships with her friends and family. Grace is surrounded by people who love her, and like it's really stressed that she has these amazing relationships, that all these people love her and would do anything for her. Like it makes it very obvious that she has this support system, but she still feels like she's alone, and that I think was a really interesting way to like look at mental health and just really show that's what it's like. That's what it feels like. You can be surrounded by so many people who care about you more than anything on this world, and yet you will still feel alone. So I love the way that was handled, and like what happened afterwards. I don't want to go into spoilers, but just like where things go in terms of her mental health. I loved how it was handled. I thought it was very well done. As somebody who struggles with mental health, I found Grace to be so relatable, and yeah, it was just very well done in that aspect as well. But for the negatives, one thing that drove me up the fucking wall with this book was the repetitive word choices. So the book is called Honey Girl, and which is a nickname that Yuki gives Grace, but literally every single person in this book has some kind of adjective girl nickname for Grace, and it was really annoying. I was talking with Roxanne about it and she noticed as well, so she actually looked it up. The word girl was said 157 times in a book that is less than 250 pages. That is a lot. But there was the nickname Honey Girl, obviously, Star Girl, Genius Girl, Sun Girl, Sunshine Girl, and Space Girl. These were all nicknames that different people had for Grace, and I just didn't get why they couldn't come up with a more interesting nickname aside from whatever girl. It was so annoying, and it just like every time that I would see it, it would just like irk me a little bit and would kind of like take me out of the story. It was driving me nuts, guys. Oh my god, it was way overkill with the girl. Also, she is a almost 30-year-old woman. She is not a girl, and yet but otherwise there were just a couple of other things here and there that were just like mildly annoying. Individually they weren't big deals, but piled all together it became a little bit annoying. I honestly forget what they were now, but I just remember like there were certain things in the book that just made me be like, why is that in there? Or just like things that just didn't quite make sense, or just like weren't properly fleshed out, or whatever the case may be. But overall this book was fantastic, and I definitely do recommend it, especially if you want a like really cute sapphic romance. It was definitely good in that respect, and as long as you don't mind like really repetitive words. But yeah, yeah, so this one, 4 stars for right now. Might go down to a 3.5 or a 3. Not too sure. But either way, I did like it. Next up, I read Lumberjanes Volume 1, Beware the Kitten Holy, by several authors. There is Noelle Stevenson, Grace Ellis, Shannon Waters, Brooklyn Allen, Marta Leho, and Aubrey something. I read Noelle Stevenson's Nimona, I think in March, I think it was. It was recently. And I enjoyed that one for the most part, but my one issue was that the humor was towing the line of being stupid humor, which I don't like. I like silly humor and I don't like stupid humor, and there's a very fine line between those two. So Nimona kind of towed that line a little bit, but I liked the writing style, I liked the art, I liked everything else about it, so I wanted to read more. So I picked up this one kind of on a whim. This one takes place at a camp, and our main cast of characters are just absolute devil children. Like, they're getting up to no good all the time, but they end up figuring out that there is some kind of weird paranormal conspiracy thing happening here, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. I ended up giving 2 stars. It was really not for me. I liked the story, I liked where the plot was going, the characters were fun, but the humor level was like, we were past that fine line and just moved straight into stupid humor territory. So it was really just not for me. It's not bad by any means. I think people would really enjoy this one. It's just not my kind of humor, and so I couldn't thoroughly enjoy it as much as I wanted to. But still, the art was great, the world building is great, like everything else is really good about it. It's just the humor that I cannot get behind. And the humor seems to be kind of the main focus. Like, there is constantly a joke. Every single page, every panel, there is some kind of joke woven in there, and so it's not just like a once in a while thing. It is a literal constant thrown in your face stupid humor, so not for me. So yeah, 2 stars for that one, unfortunately. And the last book that I read was Among the Beasts and Briars by Ashley Poston. This one was again kind of on a whim. I was just in the mood for an audiobook, so I picked this one up and I really liked it. This one is a fairy tale fantasy kind of book. So this book follows our main character, who is the daughter of the royal gardener, and she's also best friends with the princess, and she has this adorable little fox friend who's been following her around for a couple of years. He is so cute, and they live in a village that's been protected by the Lady of the Wilds, who gifted them with a crown 300 years ago that gives the royal family magic and keeps them safe from the monsters in the woods that surrounds their village. But everything goes wrong on the night of the coronation for the new queen, when the monsters attack and infect everybody in the village aside from the main character, who also secretly has magic from her mother, who is not from the village. She's from elsewhere, nobody knows where. So she was the only one who was not infected by the wood curse, and so she has to take the crown and bring it to the town where the Lady of the Wilds lives to try and get her to help them before everyone that she knows and loves dies from the wood curse. So she has to travel through the entire forest full of monsters to bring the crown to the Lady of the Wild, and she is accompanied by her fox friend, who she ends up turning human by accident, as well as a bear named Vala, who Fox can talk to because he's still part fox. So it's just the 3 of them along this magical journey through this enchanted wood, running from monsters, coming to all these twists and turns along the way. It was a really fun read, and I thoroughly enjoyed this one. The main character was a little dumb, I'm not gonna lie. She was not the most intelligent person ever, but that's okay. But yeah, just overall, it was wonderful. It had the same kind of nostalgic feeling that I would get when reading fairy tales as a kid. It had that same whimsy to it that I love with fairy tales, and it was low stakes, low angst, like you kind of know where things are going to go. There were actually some plot twists that I didn't quite see coming, so that was nice. But overall, it was still like a pretty low stakes kind of book, which is exactly what I wanted right now. So I love this one. It was fantastic, and I cannot wait to read more from this author. Her writing was amazing. The atmosphere was incredible. It was so, like, if you like cottagecore, read this book. So this book I actually had in a recommendation video for if you like the cottagecore aesthetic a while back. I'll link that video down below for you guys. But I had this book in there of like ones that I hadn't read yet, but I was pretty sure would fall under the category of cottagecore, and it definitely does. It was awesome. But yeah, it was really good. So 4 stars for this one. And that's it. Those are all the books that I read for the month of April. If you've read any of these, let me know down below. I would love to hear your thoughts on them. But in the meantime, that'll do it for today's video. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the world, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!